Betty Friedan published The Feminine Mystique in 1963. It was 10 years before I was born, and yet the book has had a critical impact on me both personally and intellectually. In the text, Betty Friedan talks about the problem that has no name, a kind of seeping unhappiness that so many married women were experiencing in the 1950s. In a period when marriage and children and domesticity was supposed to be sufficient to make a woman feel fulfilled, Friedan noticed that in fact women were making all kinds of choices to put off that kind of domestic life. She was looking at an age of marriage that was coming later and later, and fewer children, and more women who were in these domestic circumstances that were supposed to make them so happy, in fact, not feeling happy at all. It was a period when my mother was growing up as a young woman, when she was going off to college. She graduated from college 1 year after the publication of Friedan's text. And my mom was part of that second wave of feminist thinkers and workers and women trying to figure out how to balance a life that would in fact make them more fulfilled. My mom worked every day of her adult life, continues to work now, even in the context of retirement, and raised mostly on her own two daughters who, following in the footsteps of our second wave feminist mom, have gone on to try to balance family and career. Two daughters who, in raising our own daughters, have continued to try to think through exactly this question of what does it mean to be a professional woman? What does it mean to be a woman who cares about her family and about herself and about her world? Now, as an intellectual, I think of myself as a feminist and probably really a third wave feminist, not only because I'm the daughter of a second wave feminist, but because as a woman of color, as an African American woman born after the civil rights movement and dealing with the angst of what it means to be legally equal and yet still somehow continuing to exist in circumstances of tremendous inequality. So for me, feminism, the feminism that has emerged in the wave that comes after Friedan's understanding of the problem that has no name, is about asking questions. When I talk about what feminism is, it certainly is, as Friedan talked about, it's about women and men having equal opportunities to use all of their talents and capacity. But the other thing that feminism is for me, perhaps most importantly, the thing that feminism is for me is a question. And it is this question: what truth is missing here? Anytime we are confronted with a set of facts politically or socially or economically or personally, there are truths in those facts, but there's almost also always a truth or several truths that are missing. And for me, the feminist question, particularly the third wave feminist question, is to ask whose voices aren't represented, whose stories aren't being told, what angles have we not considered, what truths are missing here? I think it's the question that Friedan asked in 1963. What truth is missing in the context of what is supposed to be domestic bliss? Well, the story that wasn't being told was the story of those women themselves. And once she told that story, it was a genie that you could never put back in the bottle. It was a truth that then had to be reckoned with. And so all these many years later, I consider myself a daughter not only of my own mom, deeply impacted by the second wave of feminism, but a daughter in many ways also of Betty Friedan, asking the question, what truths are missing here?